The more research I do into all these fast fashion brands, the more controversy I find with every single one of them, and Asos is no different. Making a gross profit of 1.16 billion British pounds in 2024, things are fairly good for Asos, even if their profits are actually currently on a decline. But as always, cheap, affordable clothing that is bought in volume is always too good to be true. Asos was originally known as Seen on Screen and is a UK based online fashion and cosmetic retailer that has grown to become one of the most prominent e-commerce platforms for all things trendy. Asos was founded in the year 2000 by Nick Robertson and Quentin Griffiths in London. It initially focused on selling clothes and accessories inspired by styles worn by celebrities and featured in movies or TV shows, hence the term As Seen on Screen. Their niche demographic were generally younger people that were interested in celebrity fashion, and we all know in 2024 how much influence celebrities have on their fan base, especially when it comes to fashion. In 2006, they rebranded, moving away from solely celebrity-inspired fashion and expanded its range with its own designs, as well as adding more other brands. They also expanded to the international market globally when they introduced international shipping. By 2010, Asos launched dedicated websites for the US, France, Germany, and Australia, which made it easier for customers worldwide to shop in their local currency and language. The company continued to focus on young adults, emphasizing fast fashion and staying ahead of the trends. They focused on their webpage and app catering for the younger, more tech-savvy customers, and they also implemented personalized shopping using algorithms which suggested products based on their purchases and search history on the apps. They would also go on to acquire Topman, Topshop, and Miss Selfridge, expanding their products and their consumer base even more. However, Asos has had some controversies with the workhouse conditions of their workers. In 2016, Buzzfeed released an in-depth investigation at Asos's warehouse in Barnsley. Warehouse workers reported intense monitoring, being searched when entering toilets, and facing performance targets where staff were punished with less toilet and water breaks, which is insane. Some have also alleged being penalized or having assignments ended because of illnesses, or even themselves having panic attacks because of the intense pressure that is put on these workers. Many workers also have what is known as a sub-zero hour contract, which essentially means the company can give their workers whatever hours they want, with shifts being changed or cancelled last minute, and even people being sent home without any pay. The other issue with a sub-zero contract is that workers can be literally fired on the spot without any sort of recourse, without any sort of time frame, because of the contract. It's the worst type of contract you can actually have because it gives the employer all this power, which of course adds to the pressure and forces workers to be more compliant to even some of the more extreme rules because they know they can be fired at any point and they need to work. Global logistics giant XPO, which runs the distribution centre, denied the allegations, of course, stating that there have been a number of allegations about the working conditions at our warehouse in Barnsley that are inaccurate, misleading, or based on out-of-date information. They emphasise measures to improve conditions, such as offering training programs, free mental health support, and investments in the warehouse facilities, including a cooling system for worker comfort during hot weather. Now, one thing I would argue is that why weren't these things in place before? Why were these workers working under hot summer conditions without a cooling system? And of course, these changes only happen because of the public pressure is put on them and the fear that they have of losing their income, losing their revenue from their consumer base, because if their consumer base isn't happy with the treatment that the workers are receiving, they will lose revenue. Based on the Buzzfeed report, it stated that people are effectively working with health and safety issues, round-the-clock in-your-face surveillance, impossible targets, and unfair contracts, which is obviously creating a very damaging, anxiety-ridden workplace. Members are just under intense pressure. One Labour MP by the name of Louise Haigh, who represents Sheffield Healy, has put a bill forward this year known as the Employment Rights Bill, which is a bill to improve fair deals for workers, with over 30 crucial reforms aimed at improving pay, conditions, and security for millions, which is something that these workers need, especially if they're working in these distribution centres and factories under Asos. Now, they don't just have supply chains in the UK, they also have other supply chains in China, India, Turkey, Romania, and Bangladesh, to name a few. But in December 2021, The Guardian published an article reporting that more than 400,000 garment workers in Karnataka have not been paid the state's legal minimum wage since April 2020, according to the international rights organization that monitors working conditions in factories. Asos said that it had contacted all the suppliers and planned to conduct an on-the-group site visit with workers' interviews in the coming months to deal with these allegations. Now, Karnataka doesn't supply just to Asos, but it is a supply chain for them, and of course, it's unacceptable that these workers are forced to work with such low pay. Pay, by the way, as low as 16p a day. Now, of course, Asos will claim ignorance like they all do. Maybe they were ignorant, who knows, but they will claim ignorance and they will be appalled and they will do their investigations. And hopefully, along with Asos and all the other companies that use this specific factory and factories in this part of the world, that they can actually hopefully improve these working conditions, because 16p a day is just insane. Of course, just like other fast fashion brands, the negative environmental impact they have is immense. In 2023, they released 5.681 metric tons of CO2, which surprisingly enough, although that is very high, it actually is a lot lower than other fast fashion brands. In 2022, the UK regulator known as the Competition and Markets Authority launched an investigation into whether its eco-friendly and sustainability claims constituted greenwashing. Greenwashing is effectively when these companies come out and they say that they're using recycled materials, that they're cutting down the emissions, and they're publicly saying they're doing these things, but in fact they're actually not. In March 2024, the regulator forced Asos, along with Boohoo and George, to change their green claims, including dropping the unexplained use of the terms eco, responsible, or sustainable, because those terms aren't actually accurate to what they are providing. Asos, of course, have their own kind of green plan to improve all this pollution, which they call Fashion with Integrity, where they claim to improve their carbon footprint using more sustainable materials, and also that they protect and support the human rights of the people who make their clothes, and to enhance diversity, equity, and inclusion within Asos and for their communities and for their customers. Now, I hope they're actually seriously making these changes that they claim to do, but all we can say at this point is time will tell. Now, Asos, just like other brands, has faced backlash for selling items accused of cultural appropriation. For instance, selling traditional clothing styles or symbols without proper context. The other thing Asos do as well is that they focus so much on rapid order fulfillment to get the orders out as efficiently as possible to compete globally with all these other brands, that it puts pressure on its logistics operations, including the factories. It makes working conditions worse because people are forced to work longer hours for less breaks to fulfill all these huge orders that Asos get every single day. Now, Asos also has policies when it comes to animal welfare, and they claim that they do not use Angora fur, down, exotic animal skin or hair, but they still do use leather, shearing and wool, but they do claim that the wool is sourced from non-muzzled sheep, but they actually haven't provided any evidence that I could see that that's actually true. And what's more is there's no evidence that Asos actually traces any of these animal derived materials to the first production stage, according to the Good On You website. So they're claiming that these things are sourced ethically, but they don't actually even trace, it sounds like. So all these fashion brands hit the same themes. It's amazing how identical they are. Poor environmental impact, poor working conditions, poor pay, worker exploitation, huge order fulfillment that puts pressure on the workers, and using fashion trends that change constantly, which keep their consumers wanting to buy more, wanting to buy in volume, which of course, like all the other brands, adds to the landfills. Like I've mentioned in all the other videos I've done on this, the best thing you can do is, I'm not suggesting boycotting these places, but just don't buy as much. Wear your clothes for longer. Get as long out of your clothing as you can. All you're doing is just adding to the landfill. And the only thing that's going to stop them is us. Reduce the amount we're spending. Reduce the amount of clothes we're buying. I think that's going to have the best impact. It's almost like a slow boycott, if you want to call it that. But yeah, just like all the fashion brands, Asos is just as unethical. So me personally, I don't actually shop at Asos. I've never bought anything from them. Have you bought from Asos? Do you like their quality? I'd imagine Asos's quality would probably be very similar to the likes of Boohoo, Shein, or Penny's Primark. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe as always if you enjoyed the video. And even if you didn't enjoy the video, like, share, and subscribe anyway, because I'm sure there's some video. I've done over 100. There's probably a video somewhere that you might enjoy. I don't know. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Peace.